What's going on, everybody? Doc, Average Gamer Guys, back yet again. Another Escape from Tarkov video, and jumping into another Let's Talk Tarkov. So today, what I'm mostly going to be focused on is talking about the recent patch. So patch came out yesterday. There's some patch notes I want to run through, spend a little bit of time talking about kind of some of the quality of life fixes, some of the other things that they've implemented, and then just kind of talking about, where we're at with the state of the game. After that, I don't have much of an agenda. We'll spend, again, most of our time talking through the patch notes and just covering those, and just kind of getting a feel for where you're at for the game, and maybe I'll think of a few things along the way. So, without further ado, let's jump in. Let's talk the update. All right, so again, as of the recording of this, the patch was probably live for just about, by the time this goes up, maybe a little bit over 24 hours. And yeah, I would call this definitely like more of a maintenance patch, a bug fix type patch, just some things that they've been working on, certainly trying to continue to, make the game a little bit smoother, feel a little bit better, work on the optimization. That's been a big focus of BSG ever since 12.12 came out, just continuing to optimize and move this game forward, take care of some of the nagging things, I think, that are out there a little bit, in addition to, obviously, anytime a patch comes out, there's always going to be bug fixes, so some things that are getting worked on. So again, we're at 12.12.15.3 at this point, and hopefully your install for the patch went well. I know mine did. It seems like at least that part of it has been pretty smooth. So let's roll through the updates and kind of the other categories that we get. So optimizations, they decreased possible performance drops for the flea market presets, handbook, stash skills, task screens, and then there's various client optimizations as well. One thing that I think is nice is hopefully this helps reduce some of the overall errors. Hopefully this helps reduce maybe even just the load-in screen if you don't preload your hideout. Hopefully that stuff makes that go a little bit quicker. I will tell you, I've never really noticed much of a lag. Sometimes you'll hit the hideout like first, like especially once you jump out of a raid, and it can take you, I don't know, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, maybe a little bit longer. But other than that, hasn't been too bad. But definitely I know there's still been some bugs about moving things, taking a look at your skills, swapping between your different, UI menus, if you will. And hopefully, at least today, I haven't noticed a huge difference, but I haven't noticed, obviously, any kind of decrease either. Interestingly enough, I don't know, and I'll show this in a second, I don't know if I'm getting some fuzziness with some items. I don't know if you've noticed this specifically, like if you have backpacks stacked in other backpacks, sometimes they appear a little bit like almost like the sharpness wasn't turned up the right volume or amount, or I'll go into like a Lucky Scav junk box and there just looks like everything's just a little fuzzy. I asked a few folks that I play with, they didn't seem to notice it. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'll do kind of a fresh, not reinstall of the game, but I'll just kind of clear my cache. I don't know. At least I've noticed that. I'd be curious if down below you've noticed that. I don't think that was on purpose, but if it helps with performance, I'm okay with that, I guess. I don't know. I'm curious what the other client optimizations are, but hopefully they're good. So we got some changes here. So when now transferring, this is probably one of the biggest quality of life improvements here. When transferring a container needed to complete a task, craft, or zone construction to hideout, think Lucky Scav junk box, for instance. If you're going to do your scav case, you can now only hand in an empty container. If you try to do this with something, with a container that has something in it, you'll receive a notification saying you can't hand over a container with items inside. This is also going to be really nice for backpacks, pilgrims specifically. I know a lot of folks, like myself, you'll stack some things inside of your pilgrim. If you then try to turn that in with it having items in it, this should also work in the same manner. But again, containers are really nice. This is going to be great if you're trying to maybe craft a scav junk box, and you're using your mag boxes instead of accidentally transferring the wrong one. Now this should prevent you from being able to do that and subsequently losing items. I know a lot of folks ran into this problem where sometimes we don't pay attention. It happens. And you try to get something done, you go to transfer something, you just click through, and next thing you know, you have a whole scav junk box with items that's now gone. So great quality of life improvement. Really like to see that. Hopefully this kind of optimization, these quality of life things, is just like, it seems little, right, in the grand scheme of things, but this is a huge frustration for a lot of players. So making this kind of like, this is almost like a dummy proof upgrade, if you will, optimization, and I like that. So kudos for that. Change conditions under which scav bots took prone position when engaging a player. I've killed some scavs today. I don't recall having seen any scav actually go prone at this point, at least not insta prone. So I'm very much hoping that this one is actually in effect. Please, if you've been playing over the last 24, by the time this goes up 30 some hours or whenever you're watching it, let me know. I honestly have not seen this. This was extremely frustrating because it basically made the scavs, and again, in my opinion, way too strong. And this used to be a problem with raiders too, being able to do this and still fire at the same time. So like, I'm glad we see this fixed. Hopefully it continues to be fixed, and hopefully it doesn't institute any additional changes with scavs or anything crazy AI. But a good forward progress with kind of tailoring the scavs, the regular scavs back at least, which is good. They added different sounds for the Scar L and Scar H. That's pretty cool. I haven't fired them yet. I have quite a few of these in my inventory. I use it sparingly. I'm kind of waiting. I don't know why. But I do like these guns, but it's kind of cool that they've changed these up. So we'll have to take a test and see what we're working with. Lots of fixes. Fix an issue due to which shotguns were not dealing damage. There's been a lot of talk in the community about this. And some folks have done some testing. I'm not super knowledgeable on it. If this was an issue, I mean, I'm still getting killed by shotguns, but that doesn't mean that my perspective is accurate. This is a good fix. So glad that this is fixed, and hopefully bugs like this don't happen, but at least they've identified it and taken care of it. Fix an issue causing infinite loading. I've had this a few times, actually, where you get in and you're like, you basically get it to a waiting session start with your scav, and then you just sit there. And when you get to a waiting session start with your scav, it should be pretty quick after that point where you're actually loading into the raid. And I've had to Alt F4 out, come back in. Sometimes your scav is actually in the raid. That's the interesting thing about this, is on the like server side, sometimes you actually spawn into the raid. Like I've Alt F4'd in this instance and actually then come back in and gotten into that raid, like loaded right back in. Sometimes it basically kicks you back out to the main menu. So it's very interesting, but I'm glad that this one is fixed. That certainly can be frustrating. Probably pushed at least a few people away from actually doing their scav. So nice that this one has been addressed. Bots can phrase about other scavs' dead bodies again. That's kind of cool. Never knew that they could do that before. Glad it's back, I guess. That would be interesting. Fix the possibility of rain appearing indoors. There's a lot of discussion I've seen from this one about fog now in interchange and that not being inside. I mean, this is good. I've noticed a couple of spots with this, more so from a visual than a sound perspective, but I'm not saying it didn't include sound. So this is a nice change and a good fix. Added missing sounds in third person for characters falling from a height or ledge. This is probably, I have seen a vast amount of the community discussing this. This is probably the thing that people are the most appreciative and excited about being changed or being fixed. Definitely instances of like losing people in fights. This plays into a lot of different things. There's a lot of dorms gameplay that can get interacted with this. Reserve is another really big one for this. If you're fighting somebody on the second story, they can pain, they can jump out. I've probably had this. I've probably been the benefactor of this and maybe not even realized it, but definitely also then been the on the receiving end of the bad portion of this, not knowing where somebody went. So being able to hear characters fall when they fall from a height, from a ledge, this is going to be really beneficial. Think about even like woods with like Dickhead Rock and some of these other places where players have to, kind of step down, a certain amount and fall. If you're not able to hear that step, that is a huge, just missing piece of information. And I don't think it was necessarily being like abused by a lot of folks, but certainly gives you an advantage if you're the person either trying to get away or trying to make a flank, and you can't be heard. So nice, really happy about this. We'll have to continue to pay attention to this and sound bugs. There's a lot of discussion about sound going on right now. Hopefully this is just one good step in the right direction. Scavs no longer slide in place when changing position. So this was one of those things where Scavs, basically every time they would move and then stop, they would slide, or if they got kind of stuck in kind of any kind of pattern, they could be sliding around and you could be hearing them all the time. Interchange was really bad for this, and a couple other places where you thought maybe you had like a boss. Factory, I've heard this on Factory a handful of times. So I guess that's good. That's nice. So just pay attention to that. Bots no longer walk through the train and lighthouse location. I guess this was like a clipping or some kind of collision issue. So that's good. Never seen it myself, but I haven't been playing Lighthouse a ton as far as going over to the train side. So bots now equip found weapons on their back instead of putting them in the backpack. I can honestly say, of all of the scavs that I have looted, I don't think I've ever seen this, honestly. So I'm very surprised about this one, but apparently it was happening, and that's good that it's not happening anymore. I guess that meant prior to this update, you should have been definitely checking the backpack. I don't know. That's interesting. This is another interesting one. Keys listed on the flea market now display durability again. Just consider that a key has to be found and ready to be on the flea market. So it's good that they show durability just so that you can feel confident, but you should be buying something that's basically full durability or very close to it every time anyway. So, but hopefully this is a good fix. I don't know. Spamming the caps lock key while moving no longer lets you move almost silently without a significant slowdown. I'm really glad, at least for me. I pay pretty decent attention, I think, to the Tarkov community for the most part. I was not aware of this, and I'm kind of glad that hopefully it wasn't out there like a ton, but maybe it was. I don't know. I don't think this explains a lot of... Don't jump to this one instantly and be like, well, that's why I never heard that guy that sprinted up on me. I would have to see this in action, and I'm not saying it wasn't an issue, but I don't know that this was out there. Maybe it was. Maybe I'm just dumb, but it's good that it's fixed, and I would think that this would be something that wouldn't be a problem. I don't know. This seems like a, I don't know, interesting one, but happy it's fixed. Leave that at that. Player uphill movement now looks smooth again in third person. That's good. That just makes it so that your friends don't look goofy as they're running up a hill as you're running next to them. And then fix the ability to become invisible. We use using the HES grenade launcher as a scav. I really wish that I could have known about this bug, because that would have been really fun, because I would have gotten on the grenade launcher a lot. But also glad that it's fixed. So if you randomly got blown up by a player scav on an AGS, now you know why. Fix the ability to look through the bunker walls on the reserve location. I guess this one's been out there and has been something that people have been cheesing and was pretty detrimental to reserve. So this is really good that it's fixed. And there are a couple other places that still probably have some collision or some kind of, things aren't quite perfectly lined up. I know there was some issue with some things in labs. Maybe this was last wipe or the wipe before that was very similar to this. If you got to like a certain corner or kind of turned a certain way next to a certain wall, you could look and almost like the wall went away. I know like by Blue Room this was a problem. So really good that this is fixed. That's obviously could be a huge impact, because my understanding is that essentially people could see through the walls, and then if you had a team or you could see players, you could see movement, you could see all that. That's pretty impactful. And then SJ6 stimulant now correctly increases maximum stamina again. This would have been an interesting one to see. I've used SJ6s just a handful of times. I definitely felt like the stamina was where it was needed to be, but now that I'm thinking about it, I don't recognize if it was max stamina, more so than just the stamina recovery, because your stamina recovery with an SJ6 is really, really good. So, I guess we're getting max stamina again, and this should make these a whole lot better. So that's what we have here for the update. And honestly, it's a pretty good one. Again, considering it's really just an optimization and kind of a bug fix issue. But I think a couple really nice quality of life things. I think a couple of really good things. Hopefully you see some improvement with both scavs, maybe your FPS, and some of the UI things in general, and then a handful of these things being fixed certainly definitely needed to be, in addition to, I think, are also some good quality of life improvements. Okay, so just jumping back over again, I don't have a ton of other things to talk about, at least in today's Let's Talk Tarkov, but I do want to showcase, I talked about the issues with the like the fuzziness, I guess, is what I'm gonna call it. Just the look. Here's the best example that I can give is the stack of backpacks. So this looks pretty good right now. I just finished up a lighthouse raid. Actually, it's the last couple of quests that I need. I might show a clip at some point of me getting out with my Willer Z wallet. Finally, very excited to have this. I am Kappa items complete at this point, so I just need to get to 62 and finish up a couple of lighthouse tasks along the way. But I didn't unpack before this. I had a really juicy raid, as you guys can see. It's pretty nice. But this is the best example. So this all looks pretty good. I think everything here looks pretty well fine, you know. Nice detail here. And then we go in. This just is fuzzy to me. Okay, it's just not crisp. The backpack itself is not crisp. And here's what you'll be able to notice. There's going to be a clear distinction. That one, maybe a little bit better. This definitely still kind of fuzzy a little bit to me. Still a little fuzzy. This one is clean. This one is the cleanest. So like, I don't know, compare that to this, right? Just edge lines. I don't know. It's not like a huge deal. I'm not like freaking out about it, but it's just something that I noticed. So also there's this weird thing with these like additional edged black lines. Like you see how like this line doesn't continue. I don't care if this stuff gets fixed. Like I can certainly live with that. That's totally fine. I just thought it was kind of interesting. So that's kind of where we're at. One thing that I did want to talk about, I have been desperately trying to get this black key card, and the idea about trader limits, things on reset has come up. I think we've talked in a previous Let's Talk Tarkov about this. This is one of those items where I do think they need to really, honestly, if I could give BSG any advice, is we do need to relook at this. Now, Nikita talked about, I think it was actually in the last one, about global limits are here to stay. I understand that for the perspective of certain things, armors, ammos, maybe even magazines to a certain extent. Weapon attachments, in my opinion, shouldn't be that way. Unless you want to make kind of like an event around it. Again, you could make the argument that magazines, ammo, the things that are like kind of more impactful, in my opinion, like a site, for instance, right? While it makes sense that there would only be so much of a supply in Tarkov, right, to be able to use, and the traders would have to replenish that, there's certain things that just like you should be able to build the gun, especially in consideration of like you unlock that attachment, right? I'm thinking like, let's take a voodoo, for instance. Granted, you can only buy a couple per reset. That would generally, you know, I think that is up for discussion. That also, though, should still be a supply that you should be able to buy regularly and not have to be worried that it runs out. There are definitely, and where I'm going with the black key card is, I believe part of the system to look at would be, instead of a global limit, and maybe there still is a global limit, but instead of a global limit, why not have certain items that can only be bought once per trader? Black key card is probably one of the few examples I would make of this. There's not many other items that I would say you need to limit like that. Maybe some of the keys in addition to that. Like, let's talk about, I don't know, Kiba Arms, outer door key, right? Now, I don't think you have to necessarily be worried, although I don't think I could buy this. It says there's 100 left. I don't know if that's actually accurate or not. But, like, maybe this is a one-time purchase, and then the other ones you have to get on the flea market or you have to find in raid. Black key card is one of those where I just don't understand why this is the way that it is, and why can't I have a personal limit of one? I think part of the big argument here is if there was a personal limit of one, like one per account, where I could buy this one time, have it, use it myself, and then that's it. If this runs out and I hit black, you know, how many ever uses it gets, then that's it. That's all there is to do. Nothing else, right? I just feel like that is part of the system, and again, just an overall rework of how traders work and how the system works, especially considering like this is not cheap by any means. And it's extremely frustrating. I'm sitting here with all of the things. I bought this. I want to be able to get this. I certainly want to go into labs and be able to find this. But that's hard, right? And I was able to save up the items and save up the money to be able to get to this point. I just don't see the harm in having certain things like this, where if I had a personal limit of 1 per account, that I'd be able to buy it and then move forward with it. And if I wanted another one, or I lost this one, or I gave it to somebody, then it is what it is. You kind of live with that. So I think we need to continue to look at, again, I understand global limits. I understand having traders make it so that you can't buy 5,000 rounds of this every time, right? That makes perfect sense. You want to limit it to a certain extent. I just think there needs to be continued tweaks, and this kind of overlaps into a lot of other things like the quest system and certain other pieces of the game. We really need to take another look at and figure out, okay, if I work my butt off to unlock BP rounds through questing, right, why then am I limited to only 120 per reset? Shouldn't that come with some level of, like, I've earned this through the grind of playing the game, and have accessibility to get it? Now, I'm not asking to be able to buy 1,000 rounds per reset for purport, but maybe 150 or 200. Something that seems just a little bit more reasonable, and then I can stock up on this, and then you still have to rotate through these things because you can't craft it, you can't buy it on the flea market. So I think we're still in this bubble area of some things need to be adjusted, they need to be fixed. We need to figure out what we should be locking, again, better behind quest progression. And, you know, there's some players that are certainly going to be on the other side of, like, I don't want to quest, I just want to go in, level up, make money, and, like, I'll get to 15 and buy what I need to on the flea market. Perfectly fine, understandable. It's a little bit harder to do now than it was last wipe, but I think that's a conversation. So, but if you really want some of these things, maybe you have to do a little bit of questing. Maybe you have to progress in the game a little bit, because I think that is certainly a part of Tarkov. And I don't know anybody that actually plays this game where they don't quest at all. They at least quest enough to get their traders up to level 4 because of the benefits of being able to do that. So I think we take a look back at that. I think that would be interesting. And I think that would be worthwhile as we continue in the progression of this game, continue through some additional wipes of, let's just continue to find the tweaks and the balances. Tasks wise, I've actually been having a lot of success. I just got Swift one done. I'm rocking the Train Hard armband, which is pretty cool. I think the armbands have been a neat customization add. They're talked about quite a bit, but, like, I don't think people really recognize. There's a lot of people that are pretty excited about some armbands, and it's so silly how, like, just a handful of armbands has been, like, a huge topic of discussion. And this kind of came up the same discussion as, like, farming Killa, right? Like, the achievement of being able to do that and then wear that tracksuit is enough for players to go and put themselves through the misery of killing Killa 100 times. So I think that's pretty cool, but I've been enjoying a good portion of the tasks. We're sitting pretty good. We definitely, again, we have quite a few lighthouse things to get done. I'm hitting some of the upper level tasks as well. We just got Long Line done, which is 30 PMCs in Interchange, which was a nice one to get complete. I'm very close to getting Booze done. I need to do just 2 more Purified Waters, and then we get another nice boost for that. So let me know what you think. I've been generally pretty happy with the rewards for these for the most part. I think getting some skill additions is pretty cool, especially like crafting. I think that's pretty neat. Paracords, I don't know. Plexiglass, I guess maybe trade for visors. Makes sense for Ragman to a certain extent. We can continue to tweak, I think, some of these. Yeah, let me know how you've been going. Overall, this is where I'm sitting at. This is pretty standard for me, so I figured it'd just be fun to share this off. But I'm sitting at level 52, so 10 levels to go. That's certainly a boatload of experience left. But we're making our way, and like I said, I got my Kappa items complete at this point, so pretty excited about that. Hopefully I showed that clip at some point during this so you could see me run my butt off with my Willer Z wallet, which was a harrowing experience, to say the least. But we're pretty much at time for this one. Hopefully enjoyed. I do, again, enjoy doing this. I certainly am going to line these up to talking about any additional patches and updates. Let me know down in the comments below if you've seen any of the impacts of these. I'd be really curious, especially if you were maybe turning in some containers and that was helpful to you, if you've seen any changes in the scavs, or if you've been able to get in any PvP interactions and found the sound to be a little bit better when you're working with some verticality. I'd be really interested to hear that. So other than that, thanks for all the support on the channel. Hardcore series has been doing really good. Escape series, which is our solo playthrough, we've been really grinding through some tasks, which is really nice, and I'm actually really enjoying that as well, and hopefully that is going to be a really good resource for you folks out there if you're looking for some additional kind of play style and a way to get through the game. And we had a 60 kilo raid on hardcore the other day. If you haven't checked that one out, go check it out. It was an awesome finish to an episode, so very happy about that. And we got some good ones coming up too. I'm a little advanced, I'm a little ahead this time finally in our recording, so look out for some other good episodes coming for both series actually. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for the support. Love to chat with you. In addition, we do stream over on Twitch Fridays and Saturdays, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. That link is in the description if you want to come check us out. We'd love to be able to chat with you live over there, talk Tarkov, run some raids, talk other games, whatever, life, whatever else is going on, streaming, video creation and editing. Those are our passion spaces, obviously, because we're doing all of this, but we'd love to be able to do that. We have a Discord, we have a Twitter. Give us some follows on our socials. Again, those links in the description below. And Discord is a good place to be if you want to stay up to date with the channel whenever we're going live. We post some fun stuff and memes and some other things that we end up doing on our main account. So if you want to give us a follow over there, that'd be really cool. I'm also just going to put this plug in here. Elden Ring comes out on Friday. I will be playing that this weekend at some point. Very excited about that game. I'm very much sticking to Escape from Tarkov, but don't be surprised if you start seeing at least a little bit of gameplay for Elden Ring, because I'm a huge Dark Souls fan, and that game is just, it's got me very excited. I think it's got a lot of people very excited. So nice solo, kind of solo slash multiplayer. It's mostly solo experience, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, really recommend you go and take a look, watch a trailer video. It might strike your fancy, it might not. But we're definitely going to be doing that as well. So give me some Elden Ring hype in the chat if you're excited about that as well. Excited for it to come out. So I've been Doc, Average Gamer, guys. As always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next Escape from Tarkov video. Peace.